Oh, wait a minute. Wait, pause. What's this about a lavender latte now?
Welcome to Just Trust Me, the marketing podcast where we spring forward into our takes on today's marketing and whether or not we should trust any of it. Maybe after a bit more coffee. I'm Rachel Moore, your humble host/producer, and in mere moments, I'll be joined by your other co-hosts, Elizabeth Allen and Tanya Ballard Brown. Together, we're a trifecta of talent in content marketing, digital marketing, and journalism. In this episode, we take a whack at Trump's $400 no-surrender sneakers and all the irony therein, why in the world ExxonMobil is on TikTok, and a bit of trivia about who was the first verified account on Twitter. We'd call it X, except they're still using twitter.com, so no. Oh, and we touch on MLMs and how AT&T figured $5 would fix a major outage. Let it begin. Welcome to Just Trust Me, the marketing podcast that'll play that messy marketing campaign right off the Oscar stage, because today it is Oscars Day, which is hard to believe. I'm not going to watch it, but I'm sure I'll hear all about it. It's also Daylight Savings Time Day, and I just thought I'd check in with my co-hosts who are also joining me on this podcast. First of all, Elizabeth, how are you on this fine Daylight Savings Time Day? And a little intro to yourself for our listeners.
All right. So first of all, I am Elizabeth Allen. I'm a content marketing manager by trade. I love all things books, all things words. I am currently unemployed. So if you need somebody, hit your girl up. When it comes to daylight savings time, clearly the fact that I was literally in Target as we were supposed to start recording tells you something about where my brain was at today.
We'll get to my part of that in a moment, but no, I love that you were at Target.
It tracks. You know what? I'm consistent. If nothing else, consistency.
That's right. And Tanya, over to you. Daylight savings version of Tanya and your intro.
Hi, I am Tanya Ballard Brown. I am a journalist, and I love Spring Forward. Why? Because I love spring,
Oh my God.
and I hate it when the light is in the morning because my eyes are not open at that time. So I am not at all concerned about daylight at 6 o'clock in the morning. I want daylight at 6 o'clock in the
Ugh.
evening when I'm moving about and circulating and whatever. So I love Spring Forward. It was a little disorienting when I woke up this morning, even though I knew that it was Spring Forward Day, because I saw the time and I couldn't. It was like, is it 10 o'clock?
This is the issue. This is the issue with daylight savings time. We are all in our 40s and 50s, and we've lived through 40 and 50 years, 4 to 5 decades, and we still don't always understand what time of year we're doing what. It's like, why? I don't know why our brains can't. I mean, it's stupid. The whole concept is stupid, and that's probably why our brains can't wrap around it. But yeah, I woke up this morning and I thought I was being a total bum sleeping in until 9:15. It was fucking 10:15. I woke up at 10:15 in the morning, and then I was so confused, and then remembered I've been traveling. My mom's ill, so I've been in Colorado for the last week or so. So I'm still all over the place. But when I woke up and I realized it was 10:15, I was like, what the hell happened? And then slowly started to realize, oh yeah, that's right.
You sprung forward because I woke up at 9:15 and I couldn't. I was like, is it 9:50 or is
10:15 or is it 8:15? Who knows? Who knows? And even though we have that handy saying spring forward, fall back, every time I still have to like double guess myself and second guess myself about it. What are we doing at this point? Again, over 4 decades of this, over 5 decades of this, does not matter. Still confused every single fucking time. And I know we're not alone.
Listen. I'm also over here herkle-dirkling. I really love that expression on this Sunday because I have a busy week ahead of me with a lot to do. So I was like, I'm gonna
Herkle-dirkle, baby.
Today.
Yeah, you deserve it.
Ultimately, I decided it really didn't matter what the hell time it was because I had nothing planned to do.
The best type of day.
And then I'll bring this back to me, who I just had the ultimate time not my friend kind of day. So first, I slept in. Okay, let's hover on that a moment. I woke up at 7:01 to check my watch. I'm like, because I'd been getting up at 5 something a.m. every morning this last week. My cat wakes me up at 5 anyway, and usually I feed him, but I usually can go right back to sleep. Usually. Not this last week. I'm like, okay, I'm awake now. So I was like, I just need to sleep in this weekend. So I checked my watch, 7:01. I'm like, oh, thank God I slept in. Husband comes in and I'm like, oh, it just felt so nice to sleep in. Well, you didn't because it's spring forward. So it's technically 6:01 a.m. You did not, in fact. I'm like, God damn it, you're so right. So there was that. And then the fact that I logged on to our lovely studio at noon my time, 2 p.m. Eastern, where you all are. And Tanya just only popped in to let me know saying, hey, weren't you saying you'd schedule this at 2 p.m. our time? And I was like, you know what? Yes. Except I chose, what did I do? God, now I'm like even foggy brain with this.
4. It was the
Yes, the calendar
said
invite I
4.
had said
My
4.
time.
So that's why I was like, I'll go to Target. I'll go grocery shopping. I have more than enough time.
I can't time zone. And I'm like, and that, y'all, I can't even blame that on daylight savings. That was last week that I did that. So that's my daylight savings mode for today. But I'm with Tanya in that I'm a sunshine girl. That's why I love living in Colorado, because we have just copious amounts of all the sunshine that can burn you faster because it's closer to the sun up here. But yeah, I could have it be sunny at 4 a.m. I could have it be sunny at 10 p.m. And sometimes there's still daylight out here at that time, and I love it. So this is my jam. I'm happy to be in this next 6 months. That'll be nice.
There's nothing worse than like when it's like the difference between the two is like at 5 o'clock where you feel like it's bedtime. There's nothing else I can do today. And then you hit that glorious moment where it starts to be lighter, longer and longer. And you're like, the day isn't longer. You're still not going to go to bed until 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, whatever. But in your head, the day is over. There's nothing else I can fucking do at this point. So then you don't
Because
do
it's
anything.
pitch black.
It's black. You end up not doing anything. And I'm sure that's like a regular concept for everybody. You get so much more done when the daylight is around longer, even though it's the same number of hours, but in our head, like psychologically, and you get like people who have seasonal affective disorder and things like that. And that's the thing, as you get older, you realize how much light impacts your mood and sense of self and sense of purpose. It's wild.
They want to lock one in. There have been these researchers have said that it is actually like bad for people's health for us to go back and forth. And they actually are advocating for the old way where it's dark in the morning. Excuse me, the old way, as of yesterday, old way, where it's dark in the evening.
Standard. Standard
As
being the
opposed to-
standard.
Yeah, which would make me very unhappy. But I guess people, here's the thing. Light when I'm at work is not helpful to me. Do you see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like
Yep.
for me, I mean, now that I work from home, not helpful, but that does nothing for me. So didn't I tell you?
Hi, Butterbean and friend.
Anyway, when I used to physically have to go to work and you working from 9 to 6, so it would be dark when you get there or darkish and then dark when you're leaving. I hated that. And then we spring forward and then you'd have like more evening hours. And it just felt like I had more time to me that wasn't
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
Exactly.
getting up and getting ready to go to work. And I mean, for people who wake up at 6 o'clock and they go to the gym and they've done all these things, whatever, cool for you,
Not
kid.
it.
I am a person, I like to go to bed late and get up earlier. That's my natural pattern. And I don't want to have daylight at 6 o'clock in the morning when I can't do anything. I can't really
Yeah.
run errands or do the things that I can do in the evening. I can't go to the grocery store or do any of those things.
Or-
Happy hour is not happening. I mean, it might be happening somewhere, but I'm not drinking at 6 o'clock in
Well,
the morning.
right.
Those
But
type of
also if
things.
it's like if it's lighter and warmer in the evening,
Yes.
you can go out and do those eating out in the patio and doing those
Yeah.
things.
Yes.
Where I can be out later, enjoy it. So that's part of it too. It is definitely summer vibes, and oh my God, I'm still looking forward to that.
Yes, same.
Same, Zola, same.
Even
Same.
though
I
this
really,
day
really,
sucks
really-
because everybody gets confused for a couple of days at least, it is that first step to getting there. So we're working toward
Yes.
it.
Then I mean, people are like, "Well, the kids have to go to school in the dark," and I don't know how to fix that. I'm not. I hear that argument,
Yeah.
Yes.
and I can understand like getting out for the bus and all that kind of stuff. I'm hearing that argument. I don't know how we fix this. Everybody's not going to be happy, for sure.
exactly.
But I don't want to be like F them kids. That feels like the not right position to take.
Elizabeth, you said something like how we step into. I'm going to do a really lame.
I know
right
where
now.
you're going with this. Go ahead.
You know where I'm going. We're going to step into this new season. Apparently, Donald Trump would like people to step into how gold sneakers.
What a segue. Beautiful. Beautifully done.
Thanks. Thank you. I bow virtually to all of you. It is time to address the $400 gold sneakers that Donald Trump and his ilk have apparently professed should really appeal to those inner city black folks.
And they say inner city
take it
a
away.
lot, which is very concerning.
So many problems. Who wants to give the lowdown on this?
He attended a sneaker con, and at the sneaker con, because what doesn't say Donald Trump more than like sneakers? A well-known sneakerhead, if you will. Okay, so he shows up at the sneaker con and announces he is going to be offering these $399 gold sneakers that, of course, they have a fucking flag on them, because of course. And so he announces that, and everybody loses their minds, like on both ends. You have the people who will literally buy anything Trump sells, and then on the other end you have, are you fucking kidding me? He just had a $355 million ruling against him at that time. So he's trying to take your money to pay his legal bills, and you don't realize that.
No.
I will talk about this till the end of days. The fact that he wants us to think he has the most money in the world, but also is constantly begging for money. Rachel, I know you get his emails constantly. He's begging you.
I did. I signed up. I do it on purpose because I don't open his emails. I
Yep.
just look at the headlines, but I don't open them because I want to do my little part. It's like voting. I want to do my little part to tank his open rate.
Oh, I love it. As a marketer, I love that.
That's right. Be like, that's not going anywhere, buddy. I do get texts as well. Y'all, I got 8 emails in one day this last week, and I get texts repeatedly offering me to be part of his gold members plan, or, oh my gosh, just this much money and stuff. So he can miss me with the whole like, oh, I'm such a successful businessman. I have all the money I need. Yet you continue to grift.
He also has a GoFundMe going on right now for his legal costs. But there was some argument about the fact that they have red bottoms, and Louboutin also offers red bottom sneakers. And are you going to get sued for that? Are you going to get sued for how close they look to Air Jordans? Because of course that's who he's trying to pander to, people who are like sneakerheads who mostly love Air Jordans. But yeah, the amount of people, including him, who thought this was the way to secure the black vote and said this very loudly blew my mind. So it wasn't even a bad choice that had nothing to do with his branding, but it was just like patently racist without a doubt.
Yeah.
And I mean, which also is his brand, so maybe it works out.
Raymond Arroyo is the one who said this is going to be, quote, a big deal, quote, in the, quote, inner city, and was basically just spewing out a bunch of racial stereotypes just all up and down. And it's like, you're talking out of your ass, so stop it. I just wanted to point that out in case anyone wants to look it up and be like, wait, who said this where? And y'all, I fully admit I am biased in this area, but that's the kind of marketing campaign to not do. Don't come out with something where you're grossly misrepresenting and making assumptions that just aren't going to fly with a marginalized community or with any community.
And a lot of it has to come down to what your brand says. We talked in our last episode about people knowing they're being marketed to. This is one of those moments. Like, you clearly think that if you offer this up to people, they will be like, oh, these are my Donald Trump shoes, but it's not in giving with your brand. And everybody who might buy this knows well enough that this is literally something you would never wear.
I was looking up, so GQ had an article, a luxury watch dealer paid $9,000 for the shoes, which sold out, but it also goes on to mention the release has been limited to a practically irrelevant 1,000 pairs, including 10 random pairs that have been autographed by Trump himself, is clearly more about drumming up broadsheet notice than trying to take the shoe market by storm.
Yeah.
Oh, I did get a text in the last 24 hours, gold MAGA hat. Gold apparently is goodbye red, hello gold, I think is the new color. We'll have a page on my website on the butwaitthere'smore.com website about this, and you can definitely comment on it, what you think about it. If you purchased a set, I would like to hear from you. Whether you have gold kicks or not, your credibility with customers has to be golden. Nay, platinum. Connect with me, Rachel Moore, about how to infuse trust into your marketing through podcasting, LinkedIn, and MC services for your events. Visit www.butwaitthere'smore.com/contact. All right. Okay. We've trod upon heavily the Trump gold sneakers. May they be blessed. And whoever wears them, one set of footprints in the sand, y'all. What shall we, Elizabeth? Where should we tread next? Where would you like to go?
So I want to talk really briefly, which was a very weird moment, about the ExxonMobil oil rig TikTok prank.
Say more.
So I can't even figure out where this started from, but people started on TikTok to call their parents to tell them, I've been invited to an influencer event with ExxonMobil, and I'm going to be going to an oil rig, and I'm going to be, in some of the cases, doing underwater welding. And I thought it was fascinating because it was so odd. And I guess ExxonMobil came out and said they were aware of the trend. And they said, while we offer various apprenticeships and internships at many of our sites, this particular apprenticeship is not in our offering. However, we are always looking for talented individuals to join ExxonMobil to help us develop solutions to meet the world's needs for energy and a lower emission. I wanted to ask you two how you think ExxonMobil could have taken this forward as a marketing campaign. Now, keep in mind, we know in general that like oil doesn't need marketing. Does ExxonMobil normally seem like a fucking villain? Yeah, any of the oil companies do, because we know what it takes to obtain that oil and we know what it does to our environment. But we all also need to fill our cars and heat our houses. So ExxonMobil doesn't need the push. So I thought this was a really interesting and really weird moment. And I know part of it talks to some of the brand influencer trips, like Tarte recently had one to Bora, which did not go well. But it was like a weird moment where usually those kind of things happen for beauty items. It's a very interesting idea that this was almost like posted as an influencer trip that actually wasn't happening. And then to see ExxonMobil's reaction to it.
So are we thinking this is intentional? Exxon planted this?
I don't
or what?
think so. I did some deep diving into like where it even came from, who started it. I could not find the initiating TikTok for this. I think part of me thinks that ExxonMobil realizes they have to be really careful about any of this kind of stuff because ExxonMobil has had some major like disastrous ecological and environmental issues. So in general, like they have to be careful. So I don't get the feeling that they pushed this forward. I think it was like one individual TikToker, and then it took off and had a life of its own, and then ExxonMobil had to speak to it, but they had to be like riding that very fine line of like, we're not employing influencers because an oil company does not want to be seen doing that in this day and time, right? You don't want to be like, we're hiring influencers to promote us. That's really bad. So part of me wonders if at ExxonMobil, this was a net negative, that they were not thrilled that this was happening just because of who they are. If it happened to Tarte, again, any of these other places, Amazon, whatever, it would be a different story. But you almost wonder if the people at ExxonMobil were like, I really fucking wish this didn't take off.
Well, and I wonder if they couldn't have, I think if I were in that marketing/PR department, I'd be like, okay, is there any positive where it's not fake? We talked about authenticity being super important. Sometimes stuff goes viral and it can be deep fakes, can be made up and stuff like that. But sometimes the other stuff that's truly authentic, where it's, I don't know. I just wonder if they could have done something just to say, look, we have really smart people. And yeah, we actually are trying to go for lower emissions. I don't know. Or maybe they're just like, hey, let's just put a statement out and just wait for it to pass over us.
Yeah.
I hadn't heard about this, which is fine because my head was down for a good chunk of last week. I think based on what you read to me, that was a pretty measured response. I mean, they had to say something because they needed people to know, like, we're not doing this. Not us. And then they just, like, fade, that Homer Simpson fade into the bushes thing.
Yes, yes.
Like they say this and then fade back into the bushes. In terms of any idea for how they might have capitalized, I mean, I got only thing. I mean, again, they pointed out we don't have those kinds of jobs, but we do have jobs.
Mhm.
So I think that was about the only thing they could do, though somebody super more creative and not herkle-derkling might have some ideas.
I think they were trying desperately to keep themselves outside of that. I thought the part about the lower emissions future was really smart, and I thought that was
Yeah.
a time that people would be paying attention to that. Because of this weird viral trend, people were looking out for ExxonMobil's commentary on it.
This was happening on TikTok, right?
Yes.
That's where
Yeah.
it was happening. Also, that is a younger
Mhm.
audience. And so they are especially attuned to climate change,
Yes.
environmental issues.
Mm.
Like they are very fiery and fired up about that. Consider the audience and
Mhm.
temper the language to that audience. If I would have been like, oh, they didn't say anything about trying to make the world cleaner or anything like that, I probably wouldn't have caught that. But I bet you.
Oh, Gen Z absolutely did. Yeah.
So whoever they handled this, I mean, of course, they make a good coin, so they should have handled it smartly.
Yeah, no kidding.
But I don't see them like jumping on TikTok, start doing
Yeah.
skits and
Not like
sketches
the,
and
not
whatnot.
like President Biden.
Yeah, exactly.
Very different.
Biden
Yeah.
HQ, and we see other videos of him saying, if they take through the bill to ban TikTok, I'll sign it. And I'm like, but you have a TikTok account. Like, what are you doing? Rachel is the freaking like beast of marketing, so she might have a better understanding of what they could have done. In my head, that was probably the best outcome.
Yeah.
There, I don't see that there was something else they could have really pushed through. Acknowledge that it happened, push the fact that there are jobs here within ExxonMobil if you care about the environment, and then move on. Yeah.
Not knowing what their internal strategy is, but if I'm thinking of it as an outsider, knowing their industry, knowing that we just talked about generationally what the focus is for younger people, and that ExxonMobil may not be on the right side of that argument.
Yeah.
And it's okay, if you're going to think about the future, you may be banking right now on older generations trusting oil's a thing. I know there's renewable energies, whether people have reasonable or unreasonable biases for oil, fossil fuels versus clean energy or renewables. That, I'm sorry, y'all, we're all gonna die at some. Just not to put a finer point on it, but we're gonna.
It's a
die.
truism. We're all gonna die
It
at
is,
some point.
and we're all gonna die. But I guess I would be like, hey, maybe. We see this trend happening, and not like we want to go shamelessly turn it into something, but
Yeah.
is there not some small way? Don't have to make a campaign out of it, but to me, the statement says, we have no intention of being on TikTok. We have no intention of
Right.
engaging on TikTok.
Of any of that in any of those spaces.
Exactly.
And part of it is because a lot of the social media spaces, though there is serious content there, people do it to escape.
Right.
They escape, right? So they're over there having fun and doing dances, whatever. And some brands have found the right tone for their particular brand to be dancing or whatever they want to be doing on these particular
Right.
platforms. And Exxon, rightly or wrongly, has decided we shouldn't be in those spaces at all.
They're
Exactly.
on. ExxonMobil is on TikTok, and they have 291 followers. So
Oh, that's sad.
no videos. So it looks like everybody should do this. They just went on there and grabbed their handle.
I try to snag my name everywhere I can just because
Yep.
it's my name and I don't want somebody
Smart.
doing something nefarious with my name. It's irritating to have to do that
It
too.
is, yeah.
But it's again about your brand. I do it for TBB and not necessarily on some things I have done Tanya Ballard
Mhm.
Brown. But I always do it for TBB since that's the one that I use everywhere else.
Just a quick little tangent on handles, because I'd seen a lot of people that are like, I'm going to delete my Twitter/X account. And I'm like, don't do that. If you do have a handle in any way that is part of your brand, you don't have to post over there. Don't lose it though, because
lose it.
that means
Just
it's up for
sit on it.
grabs. Exactly.
Yep.
For somebody else. That's just like a domain where if you don't want anyone else to have it, keep it. Like you said, you don't have to engage there. You don't have to engage on TikTok if you just go grab your handle like ExxonMobil. But just save that space, because you just never know. You never know what an app's going to do, who's going to own the app, who's going to outlaw an app and things like that.
And the thing about the handles too is that you might not think you're going to do much with your handle and things can change. And then all of a sudden you have a company or a person who's looking for $10,000 to sell your handle. I don't think people understand that enough. That's a whole job, is people watching like how successful your accounts in on whatever platform are becoming, and go ahead and buy that or take that handle.
They squat
and
on
then
it,
all
yeah.
of a sudden, the only way you can get that back is to pay somebody thousands of dollars. And even if at this point in time you don't expect to be using that particular platform, it's just so much easier to just run over, grab it, and then it's yours. The end. It's fine. Yeah.
And it costs nothing.
It
It
costs
costs you
nothing.
nothing but a few minutes to claim it and
Yeah,
park
exactly.
it, and there you go. But
The amount of 3 lattes at Starbucks, and it's usually yours. Anyway,
Yeah.
we were just
No.
talking about handles. I want to know about Shaq verification. I don't know what's going on with this, and therefore I think we should talk about it.
It's a very fun little did you know snippet, right? Shaq was the very first person verified on Twitter. And that was the very first person who was really verified anywhere.
Oh,
He was verified in 2009, and it blew my mind that, can you imagine being the first person who was verified, that you had an account and a persona that was so important that they needed to make sure that they come up with a whole new process to make sure that people know that's who you are you. And I just thought that was so fascinating. It was like a weird history of social media that I did not know, that Shaq was the very first person verified on a social media account in 2009.
oh my gosh, that's so cool.
Isn't that fun?
Good on him.
Here's the thing. Sorry, I'm jumping into reporter mode. But tell me, like, why Shaq? Was something going on that they felt like, okay, we need to make sure this is Shaquille O'Neal? I feel like I vaguely remember this and not, but why?
There are tons of people who
Yeah.
live tweet the sports and they talk back and forth about it. Oh my God, I can't believe that. Basketball giant, right? I mean, and he literally is a giant. So The Athletic has a story about this from September 2019. Shaq helped pioneer the access to sports celebrities we have today. As soon as O'Neal, I'm quoting, as soon as O'Neal learned of Twitter, he felt comfortable breaking that classic built-in barrier between athletes and fans. His foray
I
into
knew it.
tweeting happened
I
because
knew
of
it.
stolen identity. No, nobody opened up credit cards in his name, blah, blah, blah. But they had pretended to be Shaq, often trying to mimic his voice and personality in 140 characters or fewer. He told The Athletic, I found out about Twitter by accident. He had been misquoted by a reporter. So Shaq pulled the reporter to the side and explained to him why it was unnecessary to misquote him. And he said, I got that from Twitter. And he's like, what the hell is Twitter? So yeah, so it looks like in November
Interesting.
2008, Shaq snatched his online identity and persona back. The_real_Shaq was large and in charge. And there you go. So it sounds like
And so that ends me.
Yep.
It takes it all the way back to what we just said at the beginning. Claim your
Claim
name,
your name,
because people
baby.
will do shenanigans with your name. Because of course we're all so super famous here
Of
that they're
course.
definitely gonna snatch our handles and try to do something, that they have no business. But that is exactly why you do it. The journalism is gonna put aside that someone should have actually called Shaq and
Right.
said, "Did you
They
say
weren't
is this you on Twitter? Did you say this?" But if we were all learning in real time about this new platform, though, was it that new? I'm gonna let it go because I have made my own journalism mistakes. It's easy for me to say 30 years later what somebody might have done way back when on Twitter. So anyway, yeah, okay. See,
It was an entirely different time, and we were learning as
exactly.
we went. I remember being much younger and having somebody like follow me and being like, "Is that the real person?" And realizing later, no, it was just some person who took their name.
listen, we can say this was like 2 months ago. Remember when I was like, "This is not Jeffrey Wright," but. What if it's Jeffrey Wright?
Jeffrey Wright called,
It was not Jeffrey Wright. It was not Jeffrey Wright, but
Never
it
know.
could have
You
been
never
Jeffrey
know.
Wright.
and it should be Jeffrey Wright. Jeffrey, call her.
It should have been Jeffrey Wright, but
with AI able to whip up your ad copy, all you need is someone to read it, preferably with a touch of enthusiasm and more than a trifle of authenticity. When you advertise on the Just Trust Me podcast, you can ask for a dramatic reading and you'll probably get it. Reach out via our website, www.butwaitthere'smore.com/contact.
I'm going to do my infamous segueing again. So we were just talking about posers, people who are like taking candles and pretending to be Shaq or anyone else on the internet. Elizabeth, let's take a little detour into your unemployed deadbeat corner. Again, that is self-titled by Elizabeth.
It is
That's right.
self-titled. It's all
So
me.
talk to us about what you've been experiencing later regarding some posing going on.
So I am interested in talking about MLMs posing as marketing roles. So MLM stands for multi-level marketing, or as my daughter thinks it stands for, man, love, and man, because she is my daughter and she immediately thinks that.
Totally.
But multi-level marketing, aka a pyramid scheme. The part that gets me is that this was even a problem because I can't tell you how many times I've seen, like on LinkedIn, on Indeed, they seem to be legitimate job listings, and they are all listed as marketing or sales, and they are MLMs. And I was curious, like I wanted to talk to the people who are listening to this. Have you seen this a lot? But it's really frustrating because first of all, I think it diminishes the role of a marketer, because that's not what we're doing, but also the fact that it wastes people's time. I'm very anti-MLM. So the fact that when you're looking for jobs and the number of places that are posing as legitimate marketing positions, but they are fucking MLMs. Oh my God, it makes me so mad. I feel for the people who don't realize in the moment that they are applying for an MLM role. I watched this one TikTok where it was great, and this guy was like, he went to this job interview, and as he's putting away the dishes, he's talking about how I just wasted my time applying for a job that was 100% an MLM. And I don't know what the solution is. I don't think Indeed and LinkedIn should allow MLM job positions to be listed as job positions. Like, you guys want to do that shit on your own?
Right.
Cool. Do it. You'll get whoever you get, and best of luck. But the people who are on LinkedIn and Indeed are seriously looking for a job. We need to make money. And MLMs notoriously are like, half the time you lose money from working within an MLM. You're not making money. So it's so frustrating. My heart breaks for the people who are like, don't have a partner who can like manage the finances until you find your way, or are just in a position where I need a job now. And it's so explosive.
So I've worked in employer branding for a couple different companies now, where part of it is talent acquisition. You are posting jobs, you are sharing jobs, you're doing paid ads about your jobs. Two different companies, we had the same thing happen. This is very routine. So hopefully anyone listening who ever is applying to a job, take this, it's well intended. This is advice. You need to always call into question if someone is texting you or messaging you via Telegram, particularly WhatsApp, or even if somehow they got your mobile number, or DMing, and they're saying, if they're trying to come forward and saying, hey, I have a job opportunity for you, just always go with if it's too good to true, it probably is. But here's where this angers me too. Going back to MLMs, you always have to pay to play. You do. You do not, there is no free ride to start just marketing and earning money. You always have to subscribe to say, hey, I'm going to be this level or this tier for the next year so that I can get stuff at cost. But particularly if it's products, which it typically is, you have to buy the products or something to get in first. That money goes straight up to your skip level or up levels. And that money feeds into the people above you. Hence, it's why it's a pyramid scheme. You have to pay to play. If you're applying to a legitimate job, the only thing you're paying is your time to interview. And then that company will hire you. They'll send you an offer letter saying, here's how much we're going to pay you. You sign and say, I agree to that. And then you start working and they start paying you. MLMs are always going to say, nope, you can only get involved if there's a money exchange on your behalf to get in.
And then you got to go recruit other people
That's
who
right.
then pay
It's
money, and that's how you
completely
get paid. See, the hell with all that.
Right.
I'm
Now look,
anti-MLM too.
Oh my God.
This is where I take off journalist hat and put on
Mhm.
T double B hat, and I'm like, that is
It
all a whole
is.
bunch of nonsense
Bullshit.
because I have to spend my money to buy product, and I have to go out and recruit people, and they sell it. You're starting your own business, and you're becoming an entrepreneur,
Entrepreneur.
and
Yep,
No, that's
every
bullshit.
all that
time.
kind of stuff.
I've started my own
Yeah.
business. Rachel has started her own business. We know that nobody's just handing you
No.
marketing materials,
I'm carving this
like
shit out
social media
myself.
accounts. Like you're not getting any of that. You are not an
Mm-mm.
entrepreneur. No, it's one of my
No.
biggest pet peeves. I will like rant all day long about MLMs.
Y'all, I actually did the whole MLM thing. To this day, I cringe at the thought of how I tried to exploit my, because that's what they do. Your family and friends are the first people that you will go ask to pony up money to support your quote unquote business. It's not your
Yeah.
business. You're actually earning money for higher ups who are way at the top of that pyramid, and it will take hell and high water for you to even get to where you can actually make a profit from it. Now, if you're listening to this and you're like,
Yeah.
wait, I'm in an MLM and I do make profit. Good for you. You did that on the backs of people underneath you. So I still raise my both eyebrows
Mhm.
at you.
Exploitation.
But also, if you are one of the people who are successful, that number is
So small.
few and
Yep.
far in
That's
between.
right.
Like, you are actually the exception and not the norm
Exactly.
in this particular situation. The norm is that there's been
Mhm.
much reporting on this where people do not
That's
come
right.
out on the
Don't.
upside on this. I mean, at best you break
Right.
even, at
At
Right.
best.
best.
So yeah, so
Yep.
I'm right with you.
Exactly.
It's totally shady and it sucks that they're allowed to or being given leeway to post these JOBS on it's BS on LinkedIn and Indeed.
JOBS. Yep. And the thing that gets me is I realize like how vulnerable people who are
Mhm.
looking for a job are. And that's who
Hmm.
they're posting for because I feel that 100%. Like I am so vulnerable. Like
It feels
it feels
predatory, is what you're
predatory.
saying.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Like I can't tell
Hmm.
you, I was with my elderly ill mom who we didn't think she was even going to make it in Colorado, and I was obsessively refreshing my like job email account.
Yeah.
I need a job. And also, I know not everybody feels this way, but I'm having a hard time where I'm like, I don't feel like I have a purpose. And no, in general, my purpose isn't my job. I understand that intellectually, but like psychologically, I need to have a job. Like that's what I've been told my entire life. So, like me obsessively at my mother's essentially deathbed,
Right.
obsessively refreshing my job Gmail account tells you that people are
Mhm.
fucking desperate. People are looking
Hmm.
for something. And for you to exploit that is
It is.
disgusting.
The other thing is, back
Yeah.
in the day, Mary Kay and Tupperware, it was like you went to your neighbors
Yeah.
and they made the Tupperware like a cachet thing. I only know that because I've watched way too much television where I've seen these things. And then, like, the Mary Kay was like women taking control, and we do wear makeup, and you can go and do your friend's
Yeah.
face, and then she bring her friends, and it's so out of control now with all these different products. But also, and I'll say this, and maybe I'll get beat up about it. People who are very good at sales are probably not doing
Agreed.
MLM. They're probably out selling
Mhm.
tech
Agreed.
stuff and
Yeah.
cars, like high end things that they get huge returns on. Not everybody should have or
Right.
can run a
No.
business.
No. Exactly.
Period. It ain't in everybody's ministry. I know that's not, Jesus didn't bless me. In fact, I heard somebody say this the other day, and I almost still, I like to lay down too much to be working hard like that, right? As I said, I'm Herkel
Herkel
Dirkling right now.
Dirkelen.
Right. And I'm just saying, like, that's why it feels predatory, because they're really selling you a dream. They're selling you, like, you who's never sold a thing in their life, not even Girl
This is
Scout
what you can
cookies.
do.
You can go out here and be a sales star, and you can go out here and sell this product, and then you can go out here and sell yourself to other people to come in and get them to sell the product because they can be sales
Yeah.
stars too. And it's not, you'll have your own business and da, da, da. They're catching you at a
Yeah.
time when you like, I need income, I need employment, so fuck it, maybe I'll try this. And it's just, it feels so, it's predatory, man. That's the way I feel about it. I'm
It's predatory.
sorry.
And when you're looking at these jobs online, they're promoted as marketing jobs, which
Mm-hmm.
none of that is fucking marketing. I said on our last podcast, marketing is not pre-sales. This is one of my biggest ride or die things. Marketing is not pre-sales. And that's the fact too. Like, at least if you're promoting it as sales, I would not even look at it because I'm not a salesperson. I have so much respect for people who do sales. It's not my personality type.
It is. It is a talent.
Like you said, it's a ministry. You have to be like,
Mhm.
you have to be good at it. I am not that person. But what MLMs are is sales. It's not marketing.
And if all you needed was good marketing, they don't need 1,000 new people to jump on board to sell it in the first place. Just market that shit. And the people who want it will find it and buy it. Because trust me, there's somebody working from home and I have like my door open so that my dog can do what they were doing earlier and watch all the people pass by and bark sometimes. Okay. That also invited people to come up to try to sell me things, right? I put up a sign and now nobody bothers me. But there was a particular company that showed up all the time, and I eventually just went ham on my porch like the southern get off my porch trash person that I am, which was, right, get off my porch, not porch, poach, get off my porch, trash. But I was like, do you think that I don't know
what you're doing?
Who your company? If I need your company is branded all over the place. I know who they are. There are commercials on all of the time, and I don't have network television. If I needed your services, I know how to get them. They've done a great job marketing their product and their services. Get off my porch. Trash. So that's the same thing with MLM. If your product is that good and it's all you need are good marketing, you don't need to keep recruiting people to come in and spend their money to recruit more people to spend their money.
Bringing it back to last week's episode, working at a Wendy's.
That's right, on the floor.
Like, you would be better. You would 100%
working on the
be
floor
better
in the
off.
outfit with the college students coming by.
Yeah, except for Tanya because she's going to she's going to quit because she's too good for that.
I'm unable. I'm not too good for it. I just thought I was. That's the thing. I just thought I was like, oh Lord, I'm unable. This is so embarrassing. I think I'm too cute for this. Meanwhile, if I didn't need that job, I would have never went in there and got that job. So apparently I did need it.
We are going to walk around the corner, beyond the corner of unemployed deadbeat corner for Elizabeth. And I want everyone to think about where your nearest cell tower is. And let's talk about, does anyone on this podcast subscribe to AT&T?
I do.
How are things? Did you have any trouble in the last little while?
I didn't even realize that there was an outage until I was checked into like news or whatever. I was like, oh, and I was like, wait, am I down? So no food. But yeah, that was a lot that particular day when people were like, where's my phone? And then that $5, I feel like they might get a class action suit behind that $5.
$5 refund for people literally being out. I have a friend who is like court stenographer and she travels all over the place and she literally couldn't use her GPS because she relies on her phone to get to her place, and AT&T is offering $5
for your trouble, everybody.
Please.
But it also brings us back around to just how reliant we are on these things that we ultimately have no control over. And this is why I get so mad about stuff like, why do I have to have an app for every fucking thing? Like, why can't you I don't want to personally use my phone for every function. I realize that is me being an old. Like, there are people who don't even have a laptop or have computers beyond whatever they use for work. And I'm like, how can that be? Because I am one of those people that I just went to brunch. And everybody was paying one person. And I was like, I have to pay you when I get home because I don't do money stuff on my phone. But imagine if this is like your friend, she needed it for GPS. I mean, that's scary for one, but also just the way we rely on these things to do so many other things. It's scary.
I always think about
sometimes.
when I used to own a wedding planning business and like the fact that we would have to print out, because it was back in the day, it was like
Mm-hmm.
2006, 7, 8. And like you would have to print out
Yep.
the map quest from your
Oh,
house to the wherever the bride was getting ready, from wherever the bride was getting ready to the ceremony location, from the ceremony location to the wherever they were taking pictures, and then from wherever they were taking pictures to the
Oh,
reception, and then from wherever the reception was back to your fucking house. And then you had to read these under
yep.
your like dome light in your car hoping you could see it right. But the issue is like, even though we have that ability, when somebody's waking up in the morning to do a job, they're not thinking, I have to print out all of this. They're not prepared for that. So to wake up one morning and for AT&T to just not be working, what do? First of all, I have a printer right here. It doesn't fucking work. If I had to print something out, it would be bullshit. And or
but this also assumes that you're not also using AT&T for like
that too.
home
Yeah, you're like Wi-Fi
internet
stuff.
and all that kind of
Exactly.
stuff. You reminded me that one of the things, so my ex-husband didn't have a real good sense of direction, and he will admit this. I'm not disparaging him on this podcast. He will tell you that that's just not good at it. And one of the things I gave him back in the day was a Garmin. I think it was Garmin, but one of those like
Like the GPS that was like a standalone. It wasn't your phone.
yeah,
Yeah.
and you had to update it. You had to take it out of the car and bring it in the house to
Wow.
update it with like new maps or whatever. But I remember that was like a game changer. Remember that? Because yes, there was a whole bunch of printing out these maps and stuff. So anyway, Gen Z, you don't know what all we had to walk 1,000 miles in the snow
We didn't even
uphill.
know where we were
Okay,
going.
back in the day.
You don't even know.
Why in the dark
Without
with no
shoes.
damn directions,
bears.
right? But I mean, we're so reliant on these things, and I mean, also, but let's go back to the other issue is that yes, I'm certain that it wasn't anything that AT&T intended,
Mm-hmm.
but it had a ripple effect that was harmful to a lot of people. And $5, like you might have been better off just being quiet. Don't even offer anything
It
because
does.
$5 feels like an insult. And I didn't even lose service. You know
Exactly.
what I'm saying? But I know what if I had lost service, you could trust and believe $5 would not be making me feel whole. It would just piss
$5
me
was
off.
a like I don't like I agree with you. If you had just not offered any refund, you would have been better off than $5 because it's just a slap in the face.
It's a misstep. It's a marketing misstep because
Mhm.
people are already angry with you about losing their service, and now you've sort of made it seem like with the offer with this $5 thing, it almost
Yeah.
reads, and we really don't care that you're here. Take this $5 and be
Yeah.
quiet. That is how
Yeah.
it. I am perceiving it. It feels like they
Mhm.
didn't
Yeah.
care. I mean, they care in so much that they want to keep
Yeah.
their customers and keep their profits rolling in. And I just, what could they have done though?
And that's the sad part is that you say it's a marketing misstep, but anybody who's worked in marketing knows that number came from
Yeah.
on high. We had no choice.
Mhm.
And then you had to make it seem like it was something
Yeah.
worthwhile, that it was a great reaction to this
Like, get your
outage.
s-
And that's what's
And
so
I'm betting
tough.
you they probably argue, like, no, like
Yeah.
we can't find any more money. Is there
Yeah.
any, you're right. It
Yeah.
did that number definitely came down from
Yeah.
on high. They did not.
And that's what's so tough about marketing is like some of these things you can't control, but you have to still
Mhm.
make it seem like it's a benefit. I don't think the marketing department was
No.
ever going to succeed in that. Like it was never going to look good, it was never going to sound good. Again, we talked about optics last week. Like the optics of it are
Mhm.
just so bad, and unless the company comes back to you, AT&T, the executives come back to you and say, okay, we're offering like $80 refunds, it's always going to be a bad time.
They calculated it as $5 is what you is like a day rate or
Yeah.
something. And it made perfectly
Right.
good sense to the people in that
Yeah.
room having that conversation among themselves doing that calculation. They missed it. It was a day, the $5 for that day or whatever. Except again, it had ripple effects in that there were people who were stranded because they didn't have
Mhm.
use of their GPS that they relied on. And maybe the lesson is that we should all
Who's
have a
got the money
backup. And what's your backup plan in any case? But also for whatever other things that you rely on your cell phone
Yep.
for that you now can't do. that, or maybe you have to get yourself to another place where you can get on Wi-Fi, and maybe you don't want to do whatever this thing is on
Yeah.
this unsecured Wi-Fi or this. There were people were harmed in different ways, and it doesn't make them seem sympathetic to that.
Agreed. I think about I was in Colorado unexpectedly last minute with my mom last week and my sister. If I didn't have, I have Verizon, and if my Verizon wasn't working, I wouldn't know where the fuck to go. I wouldn't be able to log into a computer and MapQuest it. I had no access. I did not have a laptop with me. I was relying on on these things working by nature. And if they hadn't worked, I would have been in major trouble. I would not have I'm not familiar with the Colorado Denver area. I live in fucking Connecticut.
And also, some of us don't have new fancy cars with that function.
I
Some of
definitely
us are.
not. Yeah.
I don't have that function. My car, I love her Tarange.
I love Tarange.
However, she is not fancy like that. Tarange is not fancy like that. Okay, she classy based, but she not fancy.
My 2012
Like that.
Toyota does not have that. It doesn't even have a fucking backup camera. Okay, so please.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I would have definitely been, and my anxiety would have been some kind of high because nothing
Exactly.
makes me even more than to be feeling like I'm lost somewhere.
Yeah,
I
it felt
worst
like
feeling.
it felt. And
So,
again, I
yeah.
wasn't part of $5 feels like. Why don't you go get yourself a candy bar?
Yeah, exactly.
get a coffee and chillax.
That's barrel Starbucks coffee.
I
You can't
know.
even get one of the like fancy latte coffee. It's like the new lavender latte. I was all excited about. You can't even afford
Oh,
that.
wait a minute. Wait, pause. What's this about a lavender latte now?
It was actually funny because the last time I was in Colorado with my sister, which was about a month ago, we were talking about how we were shocked that Starbucks did not offer a lavender latte because we liked that. And then literally a week before we had to head back, they offered a lavender latte. And then they had a sample. Oh, the hospital my mom was in was real fancy. And they had a Starbucks, like a full Starbucks in the hospital. It was awesome. And they had a lavender latte, and it is very tasty. They also offer a matcha lavender latte, cold or hot. And about you, I kept telling my sister about you. I was like, my friend
Matcha's
Tanya loves a
good.
matcha latte.
I had a matcha this morning because that's what I do. I love
We
matcha.
were
I don't
talking
know how
about you
got
as I
that.
saw that they offered a lavender matcha latte. I was like, Tanya would love that.
Yeah, because I drink decaf, so people are just like, they just want to throw me away completely. Like, why are you even bothering? So, I don't know. It still tastes like coffee to
I love
me. I
coffee.
like the taste of coffee, but I can't. The caffeine is a lot, and then people are like, "But you can do matcha," but the caffeine content in
It's much
matcha is
lower. Yeah.
and so that is enough. And even so, I still can't do any of that after 2-3 o'clock at the very latest, unless you want me talking to you all night long, which
See, this is
That
why
might be
I
fine
love
on a
you
regular
because
night.
you have the awareness to be like, I know how my body works and I just won't do it. And I'm just like balls to the wall. Like, just keep drinking the latte. It doesn't matter whether or not you'll be able to go to sleep. Again, we talked about impulse control, and the difference in our impulse control is definitely different. Because I know.
delayed gratification. It's delayed gratification. You're right. I think, you know what? I think it's because I think my mom did a very good job of teaching us. You just need to wait.
Yeah, yeah.
You might be able to have what you want, but you can't have it right now, and I need you to hush and go
You're
over there
good
and sit
at
down somewhere.
waiting. I appreciate that. I'm not good at waiting.
And she taught that got sunk in. I can have what I want, but I can't have it right now. So I can't have it.
Well,
I'll get it later.
Speaking of what people might want right now versus what they got to wait for, we are needing to wrap up this week's episode. But you can trust that we're going next week to talk about more of the shenanigans going on in marketing, the things you can trust and things you can't. But before we head out for the day, Tanya, where can we find and follow you online?
I keep telling y'all, I'm at TWB, TDOUBLEB, TWB. Hey.
But she's not on TikTok. Oh, wait, you are on TikTok. Are you on TikTok? Nice. Okay.
I'm on TikTok. Let me go back. The rewind. I have a TikTok account, and there are, I think, 2, maybe 3 videos, one of which is Rachel and I singing together. So if you got to at least go over there and see my one of 2. Now, my dog Butterbean Ballard Brown, which is where you can find
heard her on
on
today's
all
podcast.
socials. She has a few more videos on her TikTok account before I just decided that this is all way more work than I want to be doing. So I'm not going to be, especially for a dog she is cute, but she is get that camera out my face. It was way more work than I wanted to put in. I am so jealous of the people who have animals who will actually like pose for the camera, whereas mine is giving me like, bitch, move away from me with this right here. What she's giving me,
My
go away
poach.
from me
Get
with
off
this
my
Apollo
That's
all the time.
That's right.
You get the
That's
hook.
right. And Elizabeth, where
Yeah.
can people find and follow you?
Right now, you can find me on LinkedIn at elizabeth.allen100. If you really are feeling like you want to see what I'm up to, Yoko is tired too at TikTok. But you can't be delicate if you're going to watch that. You have to be cool. And so
Be chill.
do not report me because I do not want to create a 13th TikTok account.
Tanya's finger hovering
Don't
on the
play.
report button right now. No, I'm not. I wouldn't do that. To you. You're like, oh, it's you. It's been you all this time.
ExxonMobil, that's what they've been doing. And then I'm Rachel, has the MIC everywhere. RACHEL has the mic. And yeah, I am on TikTok. And I apparently, in case anyone has seen a video where it talks about Rachel took her off the schedule, there's some kind of video or a voice sound going out there, and it's about someone named Jasmine got taken off a schedule by music producer Rachel Moore, and someone tagged my account,
Oh,
tagged a video
no.
of mine, which it was me on a video. I was saying, hey, I don't have a voice after the day after the Colorado Avalanche thrashed the whatever team we were playing. And I now have over 8,000 views on that video of people asking and people commenting saying, why'd you take her off the schedule? I'm like, I am not that Rachel Moore. So I'm not that Rachel. But this goes back to, again, it's you don't have control over how people are going to make
You
things go.
don't.
But fortunately, that's died down. But I am Rachel Has the Mic on TikTok, but also everywhere else. This has been the Just Trust Me Marketing Podcast. And trust me when I say that you put the you, both of them actually, into our podcast by reviewing the pod on your favorite podcast app. You can check out the show notes and transcript at butwaitthere'smore.com. Plus, you can drop comments or compliments you really need us to see on our landing page. Also, find and follow us on TikTok, Instagram, and Threads at Just Trust Me Podcast. See you on the next episode of Just Trust Me.